Hey everybody, this is going to be my long overdue Tundra TI analysis, our TI 11 champions, exactly what they did to be the best in the world this year. So first and foremost, we're going to be looking at their drafts, so let's go ahead and get into it to get an idea of what their playstyle is.
Banana slam jam.
So going from player to player, we'll start from 5 position to 1 position. As you can see, they are the pioneers of the Mirana. Picked pretty much every single game that it was given to them. This is a 5 position Mirana in most of their games for snaking. What they basically did was they realized Mirana is a really strong hero for buying utility items as a support. The support has natural survivability. You don't really need abilities that enable arrow as long as you have some setups. And then your ultimate is just really good utility for the team. So what I'm saying is she is a hero that does her job regardless of what item she buys, making her an incredibly powerful, versatile hero in terms of what she offers to the itemization aspect. So what I'm saying is it allows them to pick heroes like Doom offlane that don't buy Wraith Pact because your 5 position Mirana can buy Wraith Pact. So it is really important to note that leading up until the last few series, Tundra was absolutely destroying everybody with Doom. One of the few teams picking it. We won't really get to see that today, but as you can see here, ban, first round. Part of that was enabled by this Mirana. So then when we look at the 4 position hero for Tundra, I would say the one exception we see, by the way, is that they have a Crystal Maiden and they also have a Phoenix. The one game that fits, that doesn't fit the bill of what I'm saying here is this one, where their supports have kill threat together. They were really big fans of Tiny Mirana support duo. You know, Mirana plus Hoodwink. These heroes together, setup stun into arrow, allows them to make a lot of plays on the map. So Tundra's entire playstyle was, we're going to get an early lead with some towers, playing around the fact that 33 is a summons player. He likes to play all of the Zoo heroes and Doom. Once we open up these towers, we're not going to fight you. We're only going to fight you if you absolutely force us to. We're always going to be ready to fight you. We have Wraith Pact, we have team fight items, but we're going to play the map in a way where we separate you and then our supports will hunt you down. So you can see that with the support duos that they have. It's felt really powerful in my pubs when I've gotten to play 5 position Mirana. I will say that please watch a few of these replays if you want to understand 5 position Mirana, because he's not a hero you can kind of just try out and make it work. You're kind of probably griefing if you do that. And then what happened was that we look at this. So I was going through 33's hero pool. Other than Doom, Brood, Visage, Enigma, Visage, Beastmaster. So we have Doom and 1 game of Tidehunter 10th pick, which means they thought this was an incredibly good situational 10th pick for this game. Other than the 1 Tidehunter and all the Dooms, he was a summons hero through and through. He was their aura builder. He was their enabler to take over the map. And this is just what 33 has always specialized on. And that was part of what made Tundra so successful, is that this patch was basically perfect for Tundra, or at least for 33. Going to the mid position, I actually think 9 is their most versatile player by a large margin in terms of what he offers to the team with the hero pool. It's not that necessarily he plays more heroes than the other players, but he plays all kinds of heroes. I feel like we kind of see an archetype for every single player on this team, but 9's kind of all over the place. You have Pangolier, you have Zeus, OD. I think this was a Clockwork mid. Then you have a Tusk mid that became a staple for them. That's a Tusk mid. That's a Tusk mid. Arc Warden mid. And Pangolier again, right? So he's kind of all over the place. There's some backline damage dealers in there. There's some low cooldown pickoff heroes. There's heavy scaling farming heroes like Arc Warden. I mean, he's kind of all over the place with the way that they play. So really cool player to watch. He was the one that pioneered mid coddle. This guy's a really cool mid player if you want to check him out, watch some of his games. He's super high MMR. I think he's a super chill teammate, really good guy to play with in pubs. He kind of just makes the game easy. I will say, just even though it has nothing to do with my Tundra analysis, that 9 was a tier 2, tier 3 player for 5 years in the scene. I never really saw improvement in him about 3 to 5 years ago. And I will just say that the last 2 years, he has become a beast. This guy is absolutely god tier. I love watching him play now. He used to kind of make like unforced errors. He would get really far ahead in lane and then like have 1 or 2 big deaths that would cost the game. And straight up, this guy wins his lane, absolute beast in lane, and then he just plays the entire map. This guy feels like he's literally freaking everywhere. This guy is like a terror on the map. So if you want to see like how to win your lane and then be active as a mid, he's very somewhat like Thompson in the way he plays. And then last but not least, we have Skeeter. We talk about the meta for carries, long-range damage dealers, and illusion heroes. That was what we talked about. All centered around the fact that there's a Wraith Pact in the game. These are all heroes that can either kill the Wraith Pact, they can deal damage away from the Wraith Pact, or they can do damage without sending their real hero in. That's it. So we look at his hero pool. The only exception to that is Slark, who is like a pretty decent meta pick. And anytime you see exceptions to people's hero pools, it's pretty much always the 10th pick. That's just how it is. They will have a default playstyle, default like niche that they fill on the team, and sometimes they'll 10th pick them something different because, you know, with 10th pick you see all the heroes on the enemy team pretty much, and you want to have like the perfect game rather than pick the hero that you would normally play. So we see CK, the one team that picks CK, Naga Siren, Terrorblade, CK. So far Illusion, 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 and the one exception was their final game of TI where they picked Medusa, and I would like to point out that it's actually kind of surprising Medusa didn't get picked earlier on in this tournament. Medusa is actually one of Leshrak's absolute worst matchups. She's a ranged, beefy carry that will never die to Lesh over time. She also has mana shield against, like, so she reduces his damage, making him lifesteal less, and then she buys Scotty, and then she has a BKB piercing stun. So yes, Medusa is actually very hard for Lesh to play into. So it actually worked out here that he was able to play a different range damage dealer than the standard meta of Drow and Sniper. But let's go ahead and get into these games. We want to just kind of show how Tundra plays the map and what they do exactly to beat Tundra. So one thing that I'll note about Naga and CK that works so well for Tundra and how they kind of like found their niche is that, or like what fits them perfectly, is that they set up Marana Arrow. There's like very few carries, if any, in the meta that are not these two that set up Marana Arrow. So not only is it a hero that's like pretty good in the meta, but it also synergizes very well with this 5-position Marana that they've been basically pioneering, like we said. So the fact that like level 3, level 4, they'll have a setup for Arrow just makes this combo even more powerful. Marana is like a very independent support, likes to play outside of lane, so she wants a carry that's like pretty survivable, doesn't really need help past like level 5 and 6, and illusion carries tend to be very independent because they can use illusions to farm instead of their main hero. So I will say this, I have played against 33 in many a pub, and it is incredibly demoralizing as a carry player to lane against this guy. If you want to watch his games, I have preached about lane equilibrium non-stop. This guy is the master at getting the lane right here and then just keeping it there. He is the absolute master at that. And what's so important about that is that if the lane is near your tower as an offlaner, then you don't need your 4 position in lane with you constantly. It feels like I'm constantly watching 33 get solo XP near his tower, and his 4 position could be ganking me. They could be ganking mid. I actually have no idea. I feel this when I play against this guy. So if you watch his games, you can see little tricks and tips and tricks that he does to get the lane near his tower. But it frees up movements like this from Saksa in the mid lane for the 6-minute rune. It absolutely frees that up because even though he's left alone, the lane's like pretty close to his tower, right? So he's still getting XP, and then what happens here is that Saksa shows mid, Crystallis feels a bit pressured to go on 33, but the lane's like still near his tower, and then they're going to turn this to even more kills. So I really think that Tundra emphasizes like independence in their side laners, whether that the hero like Naga that doesn't really need babysitting, or whether that's like 33 keeping the lane near his tower, not really looking to pressure his lane, per se. Like, he's not actually playing to, like, dive the opponent or anything like that. He literally just sits the lane back here. That's, like, their entire idea, is it allows their supports to move freely, whether they want to gank lanes, check runes, ward. And it kind of feels like whenever I watch Tundra's games, it's just like their cores are farming 1v1 and casually getting kills with the supports rotating in. That's pretty much what it looks like every single time. So once again, you know, we talked about Naga being like a very independent hero, not really needing help once she gets level 6 with her illusions. I mean, it could be even like level 5. This is going to allow Snake King to TP mid, fill a bottle, go for the rune engagement. It's like this time Secret's actually ready to match them. So it's not just a free kill on Nisha. We do see a ton of emphasis this patch on supports rotating to runes. And it's pretty much safe to say at this point that anything Tundra's doing regularly is optimal this patch. They seemed steps above everybody else. So it's kind of nice. It's like relaxing or almost like reassuring that when you watch these games, if I point out something to you, that we can just safely assume it's the best way to play because they freaking won TI and it was very not even close. So at least until the next patch comes out, this will be the best way to play. A lot of cool little insights to get here. I feel like they're nonstop moving around the map and they're not afraid to go for these plays. And usually Tundra, if they do give up these kind of kills, obviously that looks like a bit of a feed because they just walked into Black Hole and Secret was ready for it. You know, we don't expect Secret to just roll over, right? But this is where we have to ask ourselves what a team like Tundra does. They take a fight, they force you to use spells, and are they going to contest again? No. Like, they're just going to go farm. They're like, okay, whoops, back to farming. They are a macro team. I would not call them a team fighting team. I would call them a macro team. So it's all about how they distribute the map. My dream, whenever I play carry this patch, has been to play this area for all of eternity. And I kind of, like, watched Skeeter do this. Like, he did this all throughout the tournament. Like, this guy will pretty much play this area until, like, he is literally shoved out by, like, 4 heroes. Doesn't matter. And illusion heroes and the like, independent heroes, are very good at this. Because generally this area can be kind of dangerous. But it's not so dangerous when you're just farming the camps with illusions rather than your main hero. This allows 33 to basically play like a carry in the offlane. What I mean by play like a carry is 33 hasn't rotated. This guy doesn't move all that much in the first like 15, 20 minutes. He's all about out-efficiencying the opponent in their lane, having like really high CS like this. I talked about how he just sits back here. If he's playing a summons hero, by this point he would have put a lot of pressure on this tower because like summons heroes just naturally get levels and take this tower. But, like, notice how he prioritizes his own farm above all else. Even though he's not beating Lesh because Nisha's having a strong game, it's like he's the #1 net worth on Tundra. Part of the reason why Doom offlane works for them specifically. It's like, if you play Doom offlane in a pub and you play like this and your teammates aren't used to it, they might play differently, they might get mad because they have an offlaner who's playing to farm. He's basically the summons version of Amar. So the fact that Amar won a major farming the offlane and 33 won a TI farming as an offlaner, I think it kind of says something about the way offlaners want to play. So not until 9 comes bottom do they eventually take this tower. It's actually a really nice timing. They finally pressure the tower with the Vlads. So it seems like pretty calculated rotation from them there. I'm pretty sure Skeeter will farm this for like 10 minutes. Like, that is just what I always watched him do. They love this map distribution. They think very carefully about where heroes will go. So their carry pretty much always plays this, their offlaner pretty much always plays this, and the mid is kind of fluid on the map. The mid and the supports are kind of free to do whatever. Seems like a bit of an odd rotation from Secret to like try to fight into a Ravaged Tidehunter. But notice how no matter when fights happen, Skeeter has planted his flag. He has sat top for all of eternity. And Naga is the absolute perfect hero to do this. Most heroes don't feel safe farming out top wave against the likes of like Enigma and Leshrac ganking them. But Naga sending out her illusions to clear is very nice. So what we kind of want to pay attention to is, I mentioned that Tundra doesn't really force fights, but they usually do hit pretty hard timings all at the same time. Like, they really do line up their timings quite well. So right now they have a Wraith Pact. They usually have heroes that don't need timings. That's something I didn't really emphasize in the drafts. But what I mean by this is that even though Tusk absolutely loves getting items, none of his items, like, are game-changing. Meaning that Tusk in fights will do a pretty good amount of work by using all 4 of his spells. So what I'm saying by that is they usually would have 2 cores. Most of the time it's the side lane cores. Like, they put a lot less emphasis on Nine's farm in most games. And they will have these heroes that can make plays with no items. So if you think about Hoodwink, Mirana, and Tusk, that's a lot of damage output with no items. So it's like really cool, like net worth distribution where they put the net worth on heroes that need items to actually do their job in the game. And then they don't need these timings to be happening on the other heroes because they can just play around the one timing of the guy that got an item. So it looks like they're using this opportunity to like secure their own jungle while they give Saksa some farm in the bottom lane. Kind of interesting map distribution. I'm not actually sure why they're doing this. I guess the idea is now that 33 has hit his timing, He's done farming the same area of the map that he's been playing. He's basically now a moving Ravage. You know, he's going to run at people nonstop. This is honestly I haven't watched this game yet, so this is like a very similar mentality to what Summons Heroes do. So what Summons Heroes do is they basically get these teamfight aura items and just run at the opponent. Like, and if the opponent eventually lets you catch them, because Tide, even though he has Ravage, he doesn't have like some way to reliably Ravage people. So, like, Summons Heroes, they'll just walk at people. You know, he literally walked like into the jungle, ran at somebody. Now he's running at mid. 9 helped him catch, and then they just use Ravage to secure a kill. So I think I guess what I would say about what I mean by Tundra being a macro team is that while they were running around as 4 here, the normal place that the core would be farming, which was down here, was getting taken by Soxa. Like, obviously now he joined the team because there was a fight going on and they're trying to take a tower. But they pretty much always have one person on each lane, unless they're 5-manning a tower. So these little things that they do where they like trade spaces on the map and make sure they're keeping up that like solo XP for one hero at least is really important. So what's cool about this is that the way they move, so Tundra in their interview said, patience, patience, patience. You know, we don't have to go on them, all that kind of stuff. If you think about it, they just grouped up as 5 mid, and they just left. Secret was respawning. Tundra has already used Ravage, and Secret still has Black Hole. So it may seem pretty straightforward when we pause the game here that it's not that great for Tundra to fight here, but they stayed just long enough to force Secret all to come here. Look at Secret, right? Like, all their heroes are here. If we look at the minimap, they're literally all here. So they force Secret to come to mid by pressuring the tower, and then they just leave. They're like, okay, now that you guys are all here, we forced you here. We're not going to fight you at all. We're just going to walk away. There's very little 5-on-5 fights that Tundra gives you. They just don't give you the fights they want. Notice how they dispersed. One guy went top, one guy farms bottom, one guy lingered around mid. The importance of lingering around mid here is that when you take this tower, or like when you pressure this tower, you force a bunch of heroes here, and they're going to chase you. Like, they're like, oh, they know, like Tundra knows that nobody on Secret was showing on the map. Like, they have complete vision of the middle lane. So they know that Secret was mid, and now Secret is looking for them. So notice how, like, when 33 left this lane, that he rotated out and Soxa took his lane. It's like, make a move as a team, rotate out, support lingers behind, and they're going to try to farm this creep wave. Because Secret's not just going to be here forever, they're leaving. So now Snake King's able to just pick up this wave if he wants. It ends up being 33. But the idea is sound, right? Like, this illusion hero in Naga, it's so good at making this happen where they can clear the wave. Secret's basically just chasing them around the map. There's a lot of cat and mouse from Tundra. Tundra was always the mouse. 4 heroes run at top. Now they're trying to make some aggressive play bottom to force reactions. They force reactions, and they walk away. Now they're going to pressure mid, and then walk away. And this is the point where they're basically all about pressure you here, walk away. Pressure you here, walk away. And then in this case, they know, like, okay, Mirana's taking the dangerous area. Notice how they always have that one hero farming the opposite side of the map. They're never all in committing to these towers. They're never all in committing. The amount of time that they stay together as a team is very low. The only time all game that they've been as 5 was this tower, and it was for like 20 seconds. It's just consistent map pressure. Lanes are pushed in their favor. Like, this is all just like, Secret, please come defend this tower. Okay, Pudge came. That's not enough of a reaction. We're going to keep pushing this tower. Oh, okay, now we see a bunch of heroes here. Pudge was forced to TP. Now we swarm you with levels, or with numbers. So look at Tundra. Suddenly, like, they see this Pudge TP. Now they see the rest of Secret on this ward. And they're like, we've got a 5v4. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Notice how when they leave bottom lane, one person stays behind and clears the wave. It is so important. One person staying behind to clear the wave. Group up, disperse, group up, disperse. Whenever you run across the map away from a lane, make sure one person stays back and clears it. It's hard to emphasize how much map pressure this creates. But look how, like, they ran at the triangle and they're like, nah, we can just run back bottom. Meanwhile, somebody's clearing top. This is literally all posturing. None of this has to be a kill. But they're like, oh, okay, cool. We got a kill. Like, this guy overextended a bit. We're just going to back now. Disengage. 4 staves. Ether lenses. A lot of kiting items. So the reason why this, even though this is a 1-for-1 trade, let's ignore the fact that it is a core for a core. This is a mid-tusk for a carry pudge. Core for core. Because Naga was pushing top during this time, top lane's pushed in. Naga pushed top and then ran mid. So now Naga's also pushing mid lane. And then Tundra is now running back at the bottom and like collapsing for a 4v4. But the whole point of this 4v4 and what makes it good for them is that all the other lanes are pushed. And this is just what Tundra does. This is how they win. It may seem like BSJ, do lane pushing really matter that much? You have to remember that lane pushing also just gives you farm. So they just have 7k net worth lead. And to be honest, like, I know they had a few good moves or whatever, but it doesn't ever feel like anything happens in their games. It's pretty boring to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's like not the most exciting to watch, but it's like clinical. It's really calculated, the way they play the map. So like notice how what's gonna happen is they force some pressure, didn't really need to take on all-in fight. They used Ravage and backed off. They're done here. One guy farming the opposite side of the map. One guy lingering to clear the creep wave. One guy clearing mid. And now they're back bottom because Secret left. Right? They have a ward that tells them Secret left. So they're like, oh, you guys should come back here. Let's force you back. So Secret's going to be forced back because they are pressuring bottom. And then Tundra's like, nope, see ya. And then look, they're like, oh, well, Secret came back bottom. Now it's time to teep. They're literally drawing a line to top. So they have this one guy playing the opposite side of the map. To be fair, they're very good at it. Like, this isn't easy. Like, this is not at all easy. It's a different player every single time. It's not a single player on their team. This is actually really dynamic. We've seen both supports. We've seen Skeeter up here, and we've seen 9 up here now. The only person we haven't seen do this job is 33. So force you back. Now Secret's going to separate. So Tundra separates. Look at mid lane always being pushed. Top lane getting pushed. And they just never fight you. They literally never fight you, and this number just goes up. That is the approach. So now they're going to force reactions to top. Look at, like, they used spells. They ran at the Enigma. Didn't hard commit. Like, they just used Mirana ulti. Secret's like, what the f***'s going on here? So they're going to back off. Meanwhile, opposite side of the map, somebody farming mid lane. And then they just back off and farm backwards. Secret's going to use a bunch of spells. Honestly, kill one hero, so be it. This guy's farming. This guy's farming. Lanes are still pushed in. Like, they have to use so much on Secret to even kill somebody. And then Tundra's just like, oh, easy kill. Secret left this area, so they're going to pressure the tower again. They're just poking the bear. That's all they're doing. Poke, poke, poke. Come back to us. Oh, Secret's coming back. They brought Nisha. Time to run away. Four staff. Oh, one guy got caught. That sucks. All of Secret's here. Now it's time to disperse again. Somebody TP's top. Force reaction. Somebody clears mid. Or, like, at least postures on mid. One person TP's top. And then they're going to resume pressure on the bottom lane. So they're going to go back to bottom. In this case, since they're all top, actually, since they were forced out, they're going to smoke. So pretty much throughout all course of the game, they've had somebody set up down here. And this was, like, the one time all game they haven't had that happen. So they're like, well, we still want somebody down here, so we're going to smoke. And they're actually going to get a really nice pick-off, looks like, on Chrysalis. They do. And now that they've gotten 2 crucial pickoffs, they turn that into the first tier 2 of the game. If you guys have ever watched a football or soccer game, I feel like in my limited time watching the game, that what happens is the team that's winning, it feels like they're constantly getting shots on the goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're constantly on the other team's side of the field, and they're constantly forcing the opponent to not get scored on. That's what it feels like when I watch Tundra play. The game is always in their favor in terms of the map, and the opponent's playing defense, like, all game. That's what I feel like when I watch this game. Or all of Tundra's games. So when Tundra plays, they're, like, pretty, like, they will force you to react to the same thing over and over again. So basically what happens is they have an objective in the game that they have in mind, which in this case was tier 2 bottom. And every single play they've made is force you here, disperse, force you here, disperse, force you here, disperse. And so now that they've finally gotten this tower, they then move on to their next objective, which in this case is going to be Roche. I think what makes Tundra so good at team fighting, though, is that they are so good at kiting backwards. Pretty much every fight is you engage into Tundra, which favors the Wraith Pack team, and you go on them, and then they're going to walk backwards when you go on them. So they go on Tundra. Tundra has some sort of save, something that buys time, whether that's Naga Sleep, Tusk Snowball, Force Stabs, and then they walk backwards, drop Wraith Pact, and they say, come get us. We have a Wraith Pact on the ground. I dare you to fight into us. And then at this point, with all of these aura items, it just becomes impossible for the enemy team to like actually bring anybody down, and people find themselves out of position. You've chased too far, and then you die. And that's pretty much Tundra gameplay in a nutshell. That's how they play fights whenever they do play fights. Look at 33's items: Wraith Pact, Pipe, Mage Slayer. The guy in front of us is going to do 0 damage. Somebody's going to walk into us, and they're not going to do any damage. So loading into game 2, we have a very similar formula. The only exception is the Arc Warden in the mid lane. They have a very farm-heavy mid laner. He's going to go for like the carry Arc Warden route. This wouldn't work if they have like a Naga Siren carry. So what's really cool about Tundra is that I can tell you, this is something I've recently learned, where there's certain carries that you don't want to be the one position of the team. And what I mean by that is there's just certain carries that it feels difficult if your job is to do all the carry load. And CK is one of those heroes. He's just a strength illusion hero. Like, yes, he scales pretty well, but if the opponent gets some like AoE and like Shivas and just like damage reduction items, CK kind of falls off. He really does. There's not enough items that CK can buy compared to other illusion heroes because he has to buy attack speed compared to other illusion heroes. So basically, if you compare CK to Naga, they're very similar heroes in terms of what they offer to Tundra, but CK doesn't clear waves nearly as well as Naga, and CK also doesn't carry the game like Naga. So what do? They pick a mid laner that clears creeps and carries the game. It takes a lot of weight off of Skeeter's shoulders there. Allows him to be like more aggressive in the game. And I want to comment that it really did feel like Crystallis underperformed in this final. I don't want to just straight up flame somebody, but like I think 33 and Soxa kind of just shit on him in all 3 of these games. The first game, Crystallis looked very panicked, had that overextension as Pudge up here, and in this game, he is already 0-2 on Bristle against this Visage Marcy lane. I really do feel like the momentum from bottom, we talked about how it's like always near 33's tower. This is literally my life whenever I lane against 33. I feel you, Crystallis. It ain't easy, man. I don't blame you. But this is what the lane looks like. It just sits at the tower, being chillin'. Trust me, this is how you win the off lane in this current patch. It's pretty much unbeatable if they keep it in front of their tower. You have to try to like enable your small camp and pull it back. In this case, it's kind of rough just because Marcy's pretty good at contesting the pulls. At this point, it's almost like too late already. Visage is going to get his level 6 very early on in the game. The benefit of Visage compared to Tide is that Tide had to go phase boots first because he's a melee hero, while Visage just goes straight for the Vlads. So we talked about 33 not actually rotating very often. So this is a really cool rotation that I would not have expected. My only really insight I can have on this is that the opponent has a farming mid, and so does he. It's basically 2 carries in the mid lane. So I think that entices him to want to play around the mid lane a bit more. And he also has like a super early level 6. So this is an insanely cool rotation by 33. I would like to point this out, because it is an exception to the rule. He doesn't do this too often. So 33 had an insanely good start. He left his lane to help out mid real quick because the opponent was diving. Soxa takes his lane, which we talked about every time a core leaves a lane, one of the supports takes it over. Very important to them maintaining efficiency. And then 9 is also just like, okay, you can have this lane now. The biggest reason why they have to give Visage this lane rather than him walking back bottom is that this hero's 285 move speed, right? He just doesn't move around the map very well. So 33 TP'd one place, and then he's like, well, this is my home now until my next TP. I really thought that 33 would take bottom tower super early with the start that he had, but he actually prioritized shutting down Nisha. That might just be simply adjusting to Secret. Thinking that if they shut down Nisha, that's probably the most important thing they can do. Or at least slow him down, not necessarily shut him down. But I think that one rotation mid is responsible for this like net worth discrepancy between Morphling and Arc Warden. And the cool thing about this is that they just lost top tower. Now Phoenix is just farming top. CK was just farming mid. Visage is just farming Ancients. 9 is just Arc Warden is just farming bottom. They don't care. I feel like this lineup they have is very greedy. I talked about how they like to have a core that doesn't need items, but that is not the case this game. CK needs items. to do his job. Arc Warden needs items, and so does Visage. They are choosing to prioritize farming over towers. And it's basically just like hold the line. Snaking gets ganked, not a big deal. Skeeter's farming. And I think that Secret's okay with this because, you know, they're farming as well. Bristleback's farming. Nisha's moving around the map getting kills. But I think what's really important about this is that there have been opportunities for Tundra to react. But they really just haven't. They're pretty much just letting people randomly feed on the map while the other 3 or 4 heroes farm. And it's because they just haven't hit their timing yet. They don't have this Wraith Pack from Visage. They don't have the Armlet from CK. They have an Arc Warden with a Midas. So they're basically just kind of letting Secret do whatever they want on the map. And the game's like remaining even. Because even though Secret's getting kills right now, Tundra's just farming. I imagine once they get this Wraith Pack, they're going to like walk at bottom tower. That's what I would imagine. So 33 is about to finish it. They don't have to force anything, though. They can maybe wait for Armlet as well. The timings are going to be very similar. So Skeeter's going to finish his Armlet top. They even gave up mid with no contest. That's really important to note. Just giving up towers with a super greedy lineup. Whenever I've played with 9, actually, what he does is he very clearly communicates when he wants to fight. The best players that I've been experiencing on the EU server are ones that say, just let them have it, because I feel like the majority of times that people go for objectives, you want to contest them, you want to stop them, you want to defend. But there's games like this where you can see Tundra clearly, like, this objective is buying us time to farm, and even though we're going to lose space on the map to farm slowly but surely, like, you guys are, the enemy's like boxing us in, that we are eventually going to hit this timing all at once and get our space on the map back. So they have the Wraith Pact, they have the Armlet, and I would imagine they're going to turn this into something. They have a really nice timing. Here it is, a smoke. They're going to open up the map for themselves. Looks like they're going to go towards bottom. So that's even more important. I know, I'm going to say this. It is difficult to be an offlaner, hit your timing like 2 minutes ago, and then just do nothing. Like, that's actually like a pretty hard recognition that that is correct. But what I see here from Tundra is, like, I saw a timing coming out from CK and the timing coming out from Visage. And just due to whatever happened in the game, Visage hit his timing before the CK. So Visage didn't force anything. He didn't, like, try to make a move with his Wraith Pact. He waited for him and his other core to have the timing together because the other core is an Arc Warden with Midas. And then they're going to make a move immediately with it and collapse on the bottom tower. And that's a nice little tower. So even though they started the game out down 2 towers, now it's 2-1. One person farming the opposite side of the map, as always. Never a 5-man rotation. It's always 4 max. I think what's so important about the way they play is that this person is farming the opposite side of the map with a TP. It's like last game we saw Soxa doing it a lot down here. This game we see Snake King doing it up here. But they always have a TP, and if Secret were to respond and try to defend this tower, the Phoenix is ready to TP to that fight. But they're never all in committing to these fights with 5 heroes. They're just pushing with 3 or 4. They leave 1 hero behind that farms the area while the other 3 move across the map. So they pretty much always have this 4-and-1 bouncing back and forth. But that 1 changes pretty often. Secret makes a move. Tundra, probably the best team in the world, at just saying, let him die. Let him go. Oh, that's an objective for Secret. Is Tundra going to do anything about it? Nope. They got their items. They took 1 tower. Back to farming because they're off. They have a mid lane Arc Warden. Didn't even consider contesting this Roche. Snake King just continuously farming the dangerous part of the map. Snake King as a support player has always been very greedy, I would say. He's a very farm-heavy support player. And even though you see that he's at bottom of the net worth, I know it looks like BSJ, but he's literally bottom of the net worth. What does that mean? He's actually spending a lot of time farming by himself. He was very sacrificial in lane. He gave CK level 6 when he was only level 3. And then he's got, like, we talked about, he's got 3 farming cores. Last game, they had a Tusk, who's just going to, like, run them around the map looking for kills. So that means that there's naturally more farm that's going to go towards the supports. But this game, there's, like, very little farm to scrounge for on the map. But Snake King loves playing these innately survivable 5-position heroes, like the Phoenix and the Mirana. Because it allows them to, like, play up here by themselves and get farm. So what's the timing they got here? They have Wraith Pact, Phoenix Egg, I guess? And meanwhile, they still have 1 guy just farming. I think this is simply just a move to create a reaction from Secret. I don't actually think they're trying to force anything here. It's literally just force Secret to defend this tower when they have Aegis. Like, Secret has Aegis, and then they just don't. I'm like 99% sure that if Secret reacted there, Tundra would have just backed off. but Secret elects to take a trade in the top lane. So what's so interesting about this scenario is that Secret seemingly has all the map control. They took a tier 2 tower. They're pretty much doing whatever they want. They have the lead. They have the Aegis. But it's a 1k lead. Like, it's not going anywhere. I feel like Tundra just stagnates the map somehow whenever I watch these games. They're always scaling. Farming, support farming mid, support looking to farm top. It's actually Visage Bird's taking it. One guy's gonna feed again. Oh well. Farming. One guy clearing mid. So now Secret's moving to the other side of the map. Once again, Secret has complete control of the game. They have Aegis for 2 minutes. They took top tower. Secret's honestly making very standard, like, good moves. Took top tower, sweeped across the map. Now they're set up to take bottom tower. Farming. Is Tundra going to meet this with resistance? That's the question. It looks like they plan to. CK's got his Echo Saber just flying out. Honestly, Visage looks kind of strong. That's a lot of farm. Meanwhile, like, even if they are trying to defend this tower, they're still not committed with all 5. They have one guy farming top. They have one guy actually farming this area. So what I'm actually seeing here is that when Secret defended towers, they were bringing like 4 heroes pretty much every time. So Tundra would force 4 heroes and back off. I feel like Tundra is bringing less heroes to do things. I feel like what I'm actually seeing here is how good they are at bringing the minimal amount of heroes to get a job done. So they'll bring like 4 heroes to get this tower, bring 3 or 4 heroes to get this tower, bring 2 or 3 heroes to defend this tower. It's like, I know CK is not technically at the tower, but he's ready. You know, he's farming near the tower. But, like, they don't bring any more than that. Arc Warden's not there. Phoenix isn't TPing in, ready to fight. There's, like, no forced objective gaming here. Like, they're literally just bringing the bare minimum that they think is enough, with the other 2 having TPs to react. So they have effectively thwarted that push while farming. So even though Secret has complete control of the game, the lead is still 1k. It went up to 2k for a bit, but it's still 1k. The fact that Secret is then running across the map and trying to gank the guy that's farming top and 9 gets away, this is really important that people like this survive on the map. So Tundra's going to immediately try to jump the guy that's pushing mid. They're literally just kiting Secret. They're like, you have this timing, we are not fighting you at all. Secret was here, they're down here. Secret was here, they're over here. Oh, they're going to go on mid. Now they're going to run away. This is a shocker. Kite back into a Wraith Pact. I'm just so shocked that this is how they're playing the game. They're kiting back. They have Phoenix Egg to cover. They have Wraith Pact on the ground. They have Arc Warden behind. Secret's just going to have to run away now. And I'm pretty sure Tundra's content to just kite backwards. Kite backwards, make Secret go on you. Kite backwards, kite backwards, kite backwards. Oh, we lost a guy. Okay, it's fine. Leave. Time to farm top. Minimal casualties. The thing about this is that obviously isn't a good fight for Tundra, right? Secret has a 4k net worth lead now. They made pretty good use of the tail end of the Aegis. But that's a fight where, you know, we can obviously be a bit biased here in the sense that we know Tundra wins the game. But it's like, that could have been way worse. I feel like that could have been way worse. Or they managed to force Secret all to mid and then back off, and now they're going to start farming. Like, the question is, what does Secret get from winning that fight? I guess that's the question I'm trying to say. Because Secret is winning. They had Aegis. They won the fight. And everyone's just farming again. And it's just not a coincidence. Every single freaking Tundra game is like this. The opponent wins fights, and then it's just farm. Farm for both teams. Tundra wins fights, key objectives are taken. So it looks like they're actually not nearly as separated in this game because of the fact that they're behind, which is kind of cool to see. They're actually choosing to take a fight on their own side of the map. I think the idea behind this is that they had seen Bristle mid. Is that what happened? Yeah, so they saw Bristle mid when this happened. Bristle's a pretty immobile carry. They get gone on. They see this Bristle mid. And then they're going to take the fight. Chen also wasn't set up for this. Yeah, so here's my summary of the last 10 minutes. Give up objectives. Give up objectives. Trade for objectives whenever you can. Farm. Lose one team fight, but it's only one hero. Not a big deal. Secret overextends one time, and you win the game. Like, that is what happened here. That is my summary of this game. So, we've got game 3 now. I know we're already 12 minutes in, but I'd actually like to talk about that this has just been the 33 show throughout the entire series, in this game more than any other game. Beastmaster as a hero pretty much never leaves his area. Like, we saw Visage rotate last game, which was like even pretty atypical for Visage. But Beastmaster, the issue with him, similar to Visage, is that you can't TP your summons. You can't move your summons around the map as fast as a hero would. So these heroes just don't move. It's like, if you compare it to like Enigma, who summons Eidolons and sends them down lanes, Beastmaster's summons are much longer duration, longer cooldown, and he relies on using Hawks to supply vision of areas, basically like having his own free wards up here, making it so that he really cements like, this area is mine, I will play here for all of eternity. So the difference here in Game 1 versus Game 3, where we saw Skeeter's Naga versus Crystalis's Naga. So we talked about how Skeeter, when he played Naga, played this area for literally the entire like first 15 minutes of the game. And that was like a really important part of Naga's kit. Like, Naga just wants to send illusions at the creep wave while farming jungle. And that's like the way this hero wins. Is Naga sends illusions at the creep wave, effectively protecting herself because their illusions are scouting for her, taking the dangerous farm, etc. And it's allowing the rest of the team to do moves like this and to farm mid, while Naga is freely farming top. So what actually happens here is that Crystalis, let's actually go to player perspective because it's important to note. Crystalis is microing his illusions at the tower and gets stomped by a neutral creep. This is like a pretty big blunder. I would say this is very standard on Naga to be very careful of this whenever you run into a medium camp. I feel like if you are like a master tier Naga player, this would never happen. So this alone leads to him getting basically solo killed by Saksa with a little bit of help from 9. And what's so big about this death is that if we fast forward to where we were before, this area of the map is being taken partially by Beastmaster rather than just Naga Siren. He's getting this extra camp. He's even potentially invading this camp. This area that Naga is supposed to control is now being controlled by Beastmaster. And look at where Naga is forced to take his hero. To some extent, I would even argue that this is a mistake, that he should just keep playing here. The thing is, if he had an extra camp to farm over here, then he would have spent an extra like 10 seconds in this area and probably felt pretty good about staying in this area rather than walking across the map. But now, as a Naga, he's just surrendered control of top. And Beastmaster's not even contesting him anymore because there's nobody to contest. It's allowing Tiny to freely farm his Blink, while Beastmaster is farming Ancients with his Medusa. I will emphasize with confidence, after playing a lot of Naga myself, watching Skeeter and then watching Crystalis, that Naga wants to play here for as long as humanly possible. Pretty much until she hits her first item, which is the Manta. She wants to play this area for as long as possible. So Naga being down here is just giving way too much to the opponent, and I'm not a fan. In this case, what I mean by giving too much to the opponent is that Tiny was allowed to farm like 2 creep waves top. That means his Blink Dagger is coming out like a minute or 2 earlier. And now control of this area is completely going to go to Tundra because they have their Helm of the Overlord. Giving up this area as dire is quite a dire thing to do, pun intended. Because this is where Roche is. It becomes very difficult for Dire to contest Roche once Radiant has taken this area. It becomes very difficult. So the thing about Tundra's lineup this game is they don't really have a splitter. They don't really have a support or a core that goes on by themselves and takes this area. So it's interesting that when they force a reaction, Skeeter's going to be the one that TP's here. And then he's probably going to go one more wave and leave, I would imagine, and reconnect to his team. Medusa's just not the same as these other like illusion heroes that want to like play by themselves on the map. Medusa's only survivable if her team can help her. So she wants to kind of be near her team at all times. So he's going to like loop back towards the fight. The thing about this game that's so different than any, like, or not different. The dynamic of this game is that we've talked about time and time again that Tundra's lineup has always been about dropping Wraith Pact, kite backwards, fight into us. But what happens in this game is that Leshrac has to be point blank range to deal damage. Naga has to be point blank range to deal damage. Marcy has to be point blank range to deal damage. And even Ember, to some extent, has to be point blank range to deal damage other than Searing Chains combos. And the thing is, they don't actually have any long range follow-up to Searing Chains. Like, Secret doesn't have a way to sleight of fist chain you and then like actually kill you other than going on you. Like, they can chase you maybe, but they can't kill you. It's like, imagine if they had some sort of like Hoodwink or Skywrath Mage, or something of the like, where you get changed and you die. So Secret is with a draft that if they want to kill you, they have to throw their heroes into you. And Tundra has Beastmaster plus Medusa, which Beastmaster, what makes him so difficult to engage into is all of these auras that he provides, but also his attack speed, which makes his entire team do a ton of damage. And then he also has a BKB piercing stun that pretty much disrupts the entire fight, because it not only BKB pierces the one guy, but it spreads everybody else out when it hits that one guy. So now you're thinking, like, what happens with this lineup if Medusa and Beastmaster just walk down a lane? Like, what actually happens, right? If they just walk down a lane. So this game is like a game where Tundra doesn't even have to play the map, really. They can literally just walk at you with 5 heroes, and there's absolutely nothing Secret's lineup can do about it. So they're going to take a quick tower and deal with the pressure bottom. So they're going to always make sure they defend, like, from casual creep waves, but then Skeeter is going to do the whole 2 creep waves and back to his team play. Skeeter does this move a lot. He TPs to his safe lane, clears like 2 creep waves, then goes mid like this, and then swings back to his team. Oddly enough, here he's actually staying bottom. This is quite a different approach from Tundra. It's like the same idea in terms of team fights, but the way they're playing the map is very different. So I feel like they always have 5 heroes to be able to respond. So taking a fight into Tundra like this is honestly kind of nutty. But if they can get out on Secret, it's really good. But it looks like it's not going to work out this time. Is this going to be a standard one-time overextension from Secret leading to GG? Or are we good? What I'm seeing from Tundra is that they actually didn't have anything they were waiting for, because no items have come out. They didn't have a new item on Beast. They don't have a new item on... This guy's had Manta for 1,400 gold. So what I'm seeing is that they wanted to take Roche, but the opponent has a large volley of ultimates with Marcy, Silencer, and Naga that make it very difficult for them to actually take Roche. So they basically said, now that Secret has used their ultimates, we are going to go into Roche. So what they were waiting for was Secret to not have ultimates. And even then, they're not going to force it. Are they going to smoke? So they're going to force a fight still. They're going to force a fight off the fact that Secret has no ultimates. And they're going to use the Hawk for vision. Lol. And a little bit of a misplay from Tundra, but they're just going to back. They're just going to kite backwards. Pango's actually going in. Getting a kill. Honestly, pretty ballsy play from 9 here. Is it good or bad? I can't tell. It looks like my Pango from my pub yesterday. Oh, nope. This game's very different than the other two, I will say. I watched it live, but I never analyzed it. So, Secret's actually going to have their ultimates again. Tundra is going to be ready to fight them. They're regenning on everybody. BKB back up on Beast, or is now up on Beastmaster. They pretty much always have a 4-staff on one of their supports. They're actually building 2 4-staffs. And they're probably just waiting for the Medusa Scotty timing. They're even going to smoke beforehand. Smoking away from Roche. Is this just a take a high ground smoke? They warded this high ground, they warded here. That ward was already there, actually. And I think this is a farm backward smoke. This is actually just a farm backward smoke. They smoked forward on the map, warded a high ground, and now they're going to farm backwards. It's going to allow Secret to just take Roche, though. It's kind of a weird play by Tundra, to be honest. And they were late to respond, it looks like. They did not expect Secret to just do that. Because the reason why Secret pulled that off was because they immediately smoked and then went into Roche. When Tundra had also smoked. So that was a heads-up play from Secret. Actually caught Tundra off guard a bit there. I would argue that that smoke from mid to bottom was actually a pretty big blunder. So I really do think a big difference between what Tundra did this tournament and what Secret did here is that Puppy's going to get caught here on a ward. And I'm pretty sure if Tundra was in this same spot, they would have just said, well, Puppy's dead. But instead, Secret's actually going to fight them. Fight into this death ball of Medusa, Beastmaster. The thing is that even though Secret has Aegis, Medusa Beast is an immobile ball of death. Like, they can just walk around with tons of damage, BKB piercing disables, incredibly difficult to actually go on them when they are grouped. And Secret's electing to take a team fight, with that being the dynamic of the game, which I do not believe is correct. So based on what I watched in this game, after analyzing it, I actually don't think Tundra played this game all that clean. I feel like this is not the cleanest play from Tundra. This right here could have just been a kill on Puppy and that's it. But instead it was 4 heroes from Secret, 3 heroes from Tundra. It's actually 5 heroes technically from Secret because they lost Aegis. And that all could have been prevented by Secret. I don't think Tundra did anything to force that to happen. I mean, it's kind of TI Dota, I guess. People don't tend to play the cleanest. Which is a lot of nerves and such. I will say this much. I can see that it's a bit of, a little bit of mistakes coming out from Tundra. But it's pretty noticeable that they've adjusted their playstyle to the fact that their carry is a Medusa. In all the other games that they had these illusion heroes, they were playing the farm-heavy macro game, split 3 different lanes constantly. And that's like the way these illusion heroes want to play. But with Medusa, you just want to walk around as a unit. And that is what they're doing. So they've definitely adjusted to the hero they've picked. They said they didn't really scrim it at all, and they hadn't picked Medusa in a long time. So that's probably why they're playing a little bit not too clean. But they're definitely playing correctly around this Medusa in terms of like the overall macro sense of what they're doing. There's no one hero splitting off in this game for Tundra. Yep, walk around as 5 gameplay here. So when I conceptualize this out loud and I think like, that's actually just a really good pick against these heroes, and they adjusted their playstyle as a team to beat this draft that Secret put out. You know, Secret's probably been dealing with the same playstyle from Tundra the last 5 games, right? And now they're just like not expecting Tundra to whip out a very different hero in the 10th pick, because this was an absolute last pick Medusa. I just can't imagine any team fight going in favor of Secret when it's a 5v5, like straight up. Nobody on Tundra is like split up. Number 1 net worth Naga literally dies with doing no damage. Yeah, and I think we're literally going to wrap up Game 3 here. I know that there's probably more to see for you guys, but this is the strategy of Game 3. It's pretty impressive that Tundra picked it and adjusted to it. I feel like Secret didn't. I feel like Secret felt like they had to take these fights for whatever reason. Like maybe they were caught off guard, maybe they weren't, maybe they were nervous. But this is a lineup you just can't fight as 5. Tundra had the upper hand walking around the map as 5. And Secret had to play the dodge game. I feel like what we watched happen in Game 2 was that Secret had the superior team fight, and Tundra avoided them for literally 20 minutes straight. That is what happened. They avoided them for 20 minutes straight. I feel like the dynamic of the team fights is flipped for this game, and Secret is not avoiding Tundra. They're actually taking the fights, and that's what happened here. So yeah, it's not the funnest Dota to watch, but it's really clean. So much emphasis on macro play. They even make moves to smoke and take farm, even though it ended up backfiring. It's very interesting to see that Tundra will make moves to smoke just for the sake of farming. They clearly don't force plays. They're always about going on you, forcing a reaction, and then backing off. Really is the staple of how Tundra plays this patch. I'm curious to see how that gets changed in the next patch with the potential nerf or removal of Wraith Pact and all that jazz. But the emphasis on like a couple mobility heroes that have 4 stabs and the ability to kite you back is like a really big part of their draft. So hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Yada, yada, yada.